Hello and welcome to another episode of the Farr Show where I'm Damien Farr, and it's getting colder, so that's why I'm wearing a hoodie, but I have the sleeves up because my arms get warm. I know, weird stuff. So, what are we talking about tonight, Damien, is what you're thinking, and we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. So, my buddies and I just watched all of them. I bought them all on Google. They had a bundle deal like months ago, and we finally watched all of them. I haven't seen all of them. I saw the first three, and then I thought, well, the bundle includes the other two. Might as well watch them all. So, we're talking all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I know what you're thinking. Damien, there's 5? I know, I thought there was only 4. I'll be honest there. So, let's start talking about it. Let's start talking about the first one first and foremost, where we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl, which came out in 2003. I'd give it an FA. It's not the best movie, but it's not the worst movie, and we're going to get to that. We may rank them at the end. It's going to be impromptu, so I don't have any idea of what ranking I'm going to put them as, but we'll see. So, the biggest thing to point out is the cast. Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa, Orlando Bloom as Will Turner, Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Swann. There are some other ones, honestly, in there, but I feel like these are the main characters to know because they go throughout the series for the most part. The most part. We'll get to that soon. So, I think this movie is good. It's a good starting point. Is it the best movie of the series? Hell no. Is it the best movie, pirate movie? No, because it's not the best of the series. Did you not just listen to what I said? Come on. So, I think this is a good movie. Will Turner and Jack Sparrow team up to get Elizabeth Swann. And from some cursed pirates, which happened to be Jack's old crew, Jack wants revenge against Barbossa. It's pretty much a revenge tale where he wants revenge, and Will wants to get the girl. I mean, it's pretty much the gist. I think it's a simple concept, but I love the idea. So, what do I think of this movie? I think it's good, once again. Like I said, it's not terrible. It's a pretty average movie, honestly. You know me at this point. FA or FAR is pretty average. F is where you gotta start thinking this isn't worth watching, and then FARR is a must-watch. So, I mean, it's a pretty average movie. Do I think it's worth a watch? Yes. If you're gonna watch these movies, you gotta watch the first one, because it established a lot of the tropes of the series, which is perfectly fine by me. Establish them tropes, baby. But, I think it's good. So, let's move on over to the second one, where we got Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. This one's an FA as well. I think this one is a step up above the first one, though. I think it's a step up. And I think there's one big reason. The first one, Barbossa, well, cool, is not like a villain per se. He's a villain for, obviously, Jack. But for Will, it's more the British Army in a way. So, the British Army is kind of the recurring theme throughout all these movies. They're the big bad guys in a way, but they're not the big bad guys, so I just think that's kind of funny. So, let's do it here. Dead Man's Chest, the reason why this one is better than the first one, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's got Bill Knightley as Davy Jones. Davy Jones! Ooh. Ooh! Ooh, baby! He is one of the better characters in this series. I think he's the best villain of the series, honestly, as well. And it shows because they had him in this one, and then they had him in the next one. With Barbossa, he's not really a villain anymore throughout these movies, but he shows up in them considerably afterwards. So, I think he is the best villain once again. And let's do it here. What are we talking about? What is the plot of this movie? Well, Will and Elizabeth are arrested on their wedding day for helping Jack. Will searches for Jack's compass, which leads him to the heart of Davy Jones. Jack wants the chest to pay Davy Jones' debt. Because he had a debt where if he was able to be captain of the Black Pearl for, I think it was 10 years, if I remember correctly, he would then serve Davy Jones on his ship eventually. Which, alright, sure. But Jack's like, I didn't get to do it for 10 years. I got, overthrown. He's like, you had options to get the ship. So I'm like, alright, whatever. Well, Davy Jones made Jack Captain. Oh, it was 13 years. I even have wrote down for 100 years of service. I like that I wrote that down. Damien is smart once in a while. Pretty much what happens then in the end is Davy Jones kills a lot of people and then has people join his crew, and Jack is supposedly killed by the Kraken when Keira Knightley or Elizabeth pretty much kisses him and locks him to the boat, and then lies to everybody and said he wanted to go down with the ship, which we all know Jack Sparrow. He doesn't want to go down with no ship. He wants to be the man. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to think that, but once again, step up above. So, first one, second one, that's a good theme so far. We're getting better. So, let's start talking about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. And this one, I think, is an FARR. So, stepping up again. And why do I think this one's the best? Well, honestly, this is the one I saw the most at theaters, and I remembered most about it. And I just remember loving this movie. I'm not a big Pirates guy once again, but something about this movie is just almost perfect. Almost. The runtime's a bit long, I'll be honest there. And I say that about a lot of movies nowadays because they keep getting longer. Movies have an issue where they're either too short or too long. This one is too long by just a hair. So, let's start talking about it. At World's End, there's not really any new cast because they pretty much reused the cast from the second movie because they filmed them pretty much back to back in one film. Kind of like how they did with the, Matrix 2 and 3. So, I mean, that's cool. Lord Beckett gains control of Davy Jones. So, the British Empire now has control of Davy Jones. Will and Elizabeth and the crew of the Black Pearl go to rescue Jack from Davy Jones' locker, where you get the weirdest scene of the series, I would say, which is just Jack in Davy Jones' locker with the Black Pearl just trapped there and him losing his mind. It looks like a short, independent student film with a lot of budget, honestly. And it goes on for like 10 minutes, which, don't get me wrong, it's great. But it's just like really out of place. You're just like, what just happened to this movie? Which is fine by me. I mean, it could be worse. It could just be a bad movie. So, I thought that was really weird. And they needed him for the 9 pirate lords to release an ancient goddess, Calypso, who we find out later in the film Davy Jones was in love with. So, don't get me wrong, once again, this is the best movie, but I think it's just a hair too long. Just a hair. You trim 10 minutes of fat out of this movie? Ooh. This movie could have been an FARR. So, I think this is the best one of the trilogy. Let's go to the next one here, which is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And I know what you're thinking, Damien, this is the 4th one. And I'm like, yes, this is the 4th one. The big thing I wanted to point out about this 4th one, though, is the fact that I didn't see it in theaters. I saw the other ones in theaters as I could. This one I did not see in theaters because, well, it didn't interest me. You don't have any of the original cast except Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, and Jeffrey Rush, who, don't get me wrong, Barbossa, great character. But really, this one is the most forgettable as well. I'd say it's an F. It's the worst of the series. It's the one that I would say don't watch, honestly. So, let's start talking about it here. We got a little bit of new cast here. We got Penelope Cruz as Angelica, and Ian McShaw as Blackbeard, her father. Pretty much the idea is they're trying to find the fountain of youth. So to do it, what do you need? You need 2 chalices, water from the fountain, and then a mermaid's tear. Well, what happens is they go to get mermaids and they murder a lot of people. It's kind of graphic, honestly, but that's not important. So, this holy man ends up, indirectly getting one captured, and he starts falling in love with her. So, I want that to be the spin-off, honestly. I didn't include his name in here, or the mermaid, but I want them to get their own spin-off, as weird as that sounds. I think they deserve it. So, I thought it was kind of cool, though, that the way they set it up, it's like, hey, You need these things. Well, they get the mermaid, they torture her, and he feels terrible, and he carries her along and starts falling in love, which I'm okay with. Well, she ends up taking him to the bottom of the ocean, and you never see him again. So, I feel like there's a spin-off opportunity there for him and what happened to the mermaid. Maybe a romantic comedy, honestly. Pirates of the Caribbean. Underwater? Quest for Booty? I don't know what they'd call it, but I wish them the best with how they changed the name. So pretty much what happens is Barbossa, with his one leg, has a poisoned sword. He stabs Blackbeard, and then Blackbeard's daughter gets cut by the sword because she, touches it and it's poisoned, so she gets poisoned as well. So Jack, in his ever wisdom, is like, screw Blackbeard. So what he does is he takes the one with the tears needed to be the person that receives the years of life, while the other one does not get the tear, removes their life. So he swaps them and gives the girl, his ex-lover, Angelica, the tear, which is great. I think it's great, but you can tell the dad, Blackbeard, was like, I'm taking it. I'm gonna live forever, pretty much. And his daughter, you can see, is like, you're a terrible father. But then when she takes the tear, she's like, oh no, I've killed my father. And it's like, your dad just would have killed you. You understand that, right? Like, what are you doing? He just would have killed you. I don't know. So, honestly, I think this is the most forgettable one of the series. And in the end, Jack does leave Angela on the island, which I think is hilarious, with one pistol shot, just like has recurred throughout the series. And she tries to shoot him and she misses. I said to my buddies right as we were watching it, why didn't she just swim to the boat? Like, she could have got back on the boat with him if she would have just swam. He was going slow enough. He literally left room for opportunity. So, at least I would say the most forgettable one here. And then this one, I would say, is just a hair above, because it's still got some good plot, but I'd still say, I'd say watch the trilogy and maybe skip these two. And this one's got new cast of Javier Bardem as Captain Seltzer. You got Brennan Twiz as Henry Turner, which is Elizabeth and Orlando Bloom's character, which I already forgot. Will Turner's son. You got Kaylee Selgera's something as Carney Smith. So, really, the plot of this movie is kind of similar to the first one, which is okay with me. In this case, though, instead of revenge, it's there is revenge in it, actually. So, it's a love story. Then you got the revenge plot, which Javier Bardem is trying to get revenge on Jack Sparrow. Seems to happen a lot in these movies. He seemed to screw over a lot of people. And then you got the Henry trying to get Will's curse removed. So I think it's cool, but I think it's three plots that intermingle pretty well, honestly, but still too much going on. So pretty much Henry wants to remove his father's curse. He needs Jack to help him. He meets Karina. They get the Trident of Poseidon. Barbossa sacrifices himself and pretty much implies to Karina, which she figures out pretty quickly, that he was my father and now he's dead. Because her book had the stars in it, and the one star is named Karina. So he named his daughter after the star, but because he knew he couldn't be a good father, they go ahead and he puts her up for adoption and leaves her with the book and the ruby, and that's all he leaves her with, which it's kind of sad when you think about it, but pretty much she learns that Barbossa was her father and just kind of heartbroken about it. Not too much at the same time. I mean, she did just figure out he was his father. They've been hanging out for a while, though Jack and Barbossa both knew. So I thought that was kind of cool that they kept it a secret, but I feel like he should have told her, honestly, but I feel like he didn't want to. So It's a good movie. It gives Barbossa a pretty good send-off, sacrificing himself to save the three main characters, that being Henry, Karina, and Jack. Works for me. So, I think the way we rank them here is you go fourth one, fifth one, first, second, third. That's my ranking here of them. There's also a short film, but I didn't see it. So, honestly, I don't really feel we should talk about it. But there is a short film. So, what do you think of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and have a far off night.